Hello everyone. This week we are reviewing a book titled No Rules Rules, Netflix and the Culture of Reinvention. The book is about what principles help Netflix reinvent itself in the midst of competition in the early 2000s and how they have grown into such a huge entertainment company globally from a small DVD by mail company. The authors of the book are Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, and Erin Meyer, who is known for her book named Cultural Map and her work on understanding the cultures across the world. Moving on to the summary of the book's flow is primarily driven by Erin Meyer with a description of what she understood is happening within Netflix through a series of interviews that she held in Netflix. It is also intermittently peppered with thought process of Reed Hastings as to why those principles exist within Netflix and what is his rationale and defense around why he has instrumented such kind of principles in Netflix. One of the biggest talking points throughout the book that envelops the entire story around Netflix is around freedom and responsibility. They call it FNR. What they mean by this is they believe that employees should have the right amount of freedom, and by virtue of giving them a certain set of freedom, the responsibility automatically comes to the employee, and hence the employee is able to take the right decisions and judgments, and hence the value of the company improves automatically. Now, such kind of an assumption will hold good when you have amazing employees in the company, and that is where the whole principles that we spoke about that exist within Netflix comes into picture. The book is broken into three parts. The first part is around what are these key principles that you should instrument when you are starting up a company. Second part is around the same principles, how do they transform when the company has matured a bit and you want to sustain the rigor. And the last portion is how do you take it to the utmost, the peak of performance by tweaking these principles. Moving on to the first part. What are the three key principles that the author talks about? The first one is around talent density. Netflix believes in the funda that you don't have to have an army of people with average performance. You can have a minimum number of people who are stunning performers. That is a simple philosophy around talent density, which means that the density of talent is huge in Netflix compared to the other corporates that exist in the world today. Now, the funda behind this is that when you have great people with great thought process, this is contagious behavior, and automatically the fellow people across the company will start to improve their performance as well. The second point is around candor. The author here talks about building a culture within the company wherein all employees believe in giving right, positive, actionable feedback to fellow employees and thereby improve the performance overall. They have a very simple framework called the 4A framework. When a person is giving a feedback, he should aim to assist and the feedback should be actionable. And when the person is receiving the feedback, the person should appreciate the feedback that is being given to him, and he can either accept or discard the feedback basis what he thinks if it is right or not. So this is the 4A framework that people in Netflix follow to give radical candor feedback. Now, if you remember, last week we reviewed a book titled Radical Candor, which emphasized on a similar point of building a culture, having a positive, actionable feedback which only helps the fellow employees, and that is being described here in Netflix as well. Now, the third fundamental philosophy principle is how do you reduce controls within the company. The company need not have a lot of policies. Say for example, in Netflix, there is no leave policy, there is no expense policy, and there is no travel policy. The company firmly believes that when you build a company with a lot of talent density and give some kind of context to the employees will ensure that they put Netflix benefits on top of their own personal benefits and will take the right decision in terms of doing the right expenses. And of course there will be some loopholes here and there and some employees might exploit it, but Netflix has understood over a period in time that the cost of this versus the goodness that it brings over a long term nullifies both these. Now, this is the first portion wherein if these three key principles are employed in a company, it will help a company to grow faster. Now, as you grow into a mature company, how do you sustain such kind of principles in the company is the next portion. This is the second part. Now, with respect to talent density, you need to ensure that you retain the talent density. How do you do that? You pay top of the market salary to your best employees. Understand who are your best employees or creative employees and pay them top of the market. In fact, Netflix also encourages its employees to network with fellow employers and understand what is the market salary, so that it can win the competition before somebody reaches out to the employee and poaches them. Such kind of openness is there in terms of retaining the talent density within Netflix. Now, moving on to the candor portion, it talks about increasing the candor, right? All along we have been talking about setting up a framework wherein employees give feedback to one another and increasing the candor, etc. But what does a company do to ensure that it does whatever from its part to provide the right kind of candor to its employees? The author talks about sharing the P&L statements or the strategy of what they want to do in the next 5 to 10 years, etc. and all of that, so that the employees believe that the candor principle is being applied by the company in itself, and hence start to have a lot of trust with the company, and they believe that they are being a part of a larger journey, right? And the third portion on reducing controls, Reed Hastings talks about how decision making within Netflix is not top down at all. There are dedicated project owners, there are dedicated pod owners who drive the conversation, and they might seek opinion from their own leaders or the board or a larger team, but at the end of the day the decision has to be made by that project owner, and hence automatically the responsibility lies within that person, and he feels good about delivering success using that project. Now, of course, not all bets could turn into wins. There could be situations where a very high risky bet was taken by the employee and it results in a failure, and that is where the leader's role comes into place, wherein he does not reprimand the person who took the decision, but understand what went wrong and help the employee understand what learning can he take away from this failure that happened, and ensure that failure is being talked about openly in larger forums by the employee himself, therefore giving the right kind of picture to the rest of the employees that such a behavior of taking high risk bets is not looked down upon. It is actually encouraged by Netflix, right? So such a kind of a culture has to be set up is the third point. Now, what is the last portion? The last portion is how do you take all these three principles to the pinnacle so that you deliver the best, is the third portion. Now, with respect to talent density, Netflix employs something called as a keeper's test. What it means there is the manager or manager of the employees is posed the question that if the high performer quits Netflix at some point, will the manager do anything and everything to ensure that he is retained? So will he keep the employee is the keeper's test. Now, if the answer is yes, then nothing wrong, life continues. But if the answer is no, then the employee is let go. Because if the manager is not confident that the employee is a stunning performer or a person to be relied upon to be kept back in the company, then there is no point working with the employee is the philosophy that Netflix revolves around. So such kind of theory could send shivers down the spine of your employees, but Netflix very clearly calls out saying that don't worry about what is going to happen if you don't work out well. Concentrate on your learning and delivering better results. That should automatically be taken care. That is the philosophy that Netflix tries to impart with its employees. With respect to candor, they talk about something called as a forced candor, wherein, see, you have described something about giving honest feedback to your fellow employees, etc. and all of that. Not everybody will do that. Now, how do you ensure that this philosophy is inculcated within the organization? As a leader, you should forcefully bring about the candor culture within your teams. Set up meetings where this is a line item that happens where a 360-degree feedback is given by everybody in the team to a particular employee, and hence such kind of behavior can naturally be inculcated over a period in time, right? This is forced candor. The last portion around controls, they bring about a term called as loose coupling. There is a top management and there is the actual execution team, which is the bottom management. There has to be a coupling between the two, but it has to be very, very loose. The team who's executing the actions cannot be dependent on decisions from the top, right? They have to have all ownership and responsibility to take the necessary calls and actions by themselves. And of course, there could be situations where the failure can happen, and that failure can happen only because the right context was not set by the top management to the bottom. Hence, loose coupling is all about setting the right context, aligning what is the largest strategy, and believing that whatever talent you hired in your in the team is going to deliver the results, and leave them be. That is what is being described as the loose coupling here. Now, Netflix did all of these points that we just described very well, and they were able to successfully navigate ahead. And then they had a larger challenge of ensuring that this culture is being set up across the globe as well as they expanded their business presence. Now, the question is, how do you dissipate such kind of solid principles across the globe as well? Because not every country has a very similar thought process or similar opinions, and they had to face a lot of challenges in terms of giving feedback and receiving feedback and decision making, working with people from Asia, Africa, Australia, etc., and all of that. There are challenges which are being described in the book, and how Reed Hastings tweaked his policies to such a flavor that it can accommodate these changes in the philosophy and thought process as well. That brings us to the end of the summary of this book. Moving on to the key takeaways that we have from this book. Hiring the best talent and believing in them to do quality work, right? The talent density point is a very, very key point that I understood from this book. Rather than policing them day in, day out and poking into every other piece of work that they do, you should believe that whatever people you have hired will do amazing work, and align them with the right context and strategy, and let them be and deliver the results. That's the first point. Now, the second point is, don't just set up a culture of candor and tell your employees to follow that. As a leader, you should take that first step in receiving a 360-degree feedback from your entire team, and not just that. You can go take the next step wherein you can share whatever feedback you have got with your team members, and that can build a lot of sense of trust with the team members. Third point is, rather than leading with control, lead with context, meaning set the right context with your employees and allow the talent density to take its role by itself, and hence the results will be auto generated rather than you forcing it by virtue of bureaucracy and control to your team members and following up very regularly. So lead with context than with control. With that, we come to the end of this week's review and summary session. I'll catch up with you with another interesting book the next week. Till then, goodbye.